Welcome back on this fine Sunday. Still kind of ruminating over the hard-fought win over the fucking Gators. Guess what? It still feels pretty good. And just thinking about the off-season. I mean, it's here. Might as well. You're already starting to see things happen. Reports about Wisconsin going hard after Luke Fickell. You've already seen, looks like, who else is leaving? Willie got shit canned at FAU. Nebraska hired Matt Rule, which is probably a good hire for them. They might have finally got one right there. So you're already seeing like the wheels in motion. Cogs are turning. So where does that leave FSU? Well, obviously still got the bowl game to be played. It'd be great to cap the season with 10 wins. Although, losing the bowl game is not going to suddenly change the momentum of the program or anything like that. But it'd be nice to get that 10th win. Nobody would have expected, very few would have expected 10 wins, even with a bowl. But the offseason will be interesting, and it's already gotten interesting. Today, 24/7 put out a little article about J-Trav and essentially saying, they can't guarantee this, but from multiple sources that they hear inside the program, Travis will be back at Florida State in 2023, and you just cannot understate how huge that is for FSU. It just can't be said enough how big of a deal for Florida State football for Travis to return. He was, by most measures, top 15 quarterback in the country. If not, maybe even top 10. He was that good this year. He was efficient with the ball. I think only threw 4 picks. Obviously, his running game was put on show there versus UF. Didn't have to use it as much as he had in years past because, he had better receivers around him, better line around him, better running backs around him. He didn't have to use his legs as much, but he still had that. And you combine that with, what is he, 65% completion percentage, which is just more than adequate, more than I'd ever expected him to get to just, a year or two ago. So you bring back essentially top 10, top 15 quarterback in the sport. He'll likely be on many Heisman lists. Don't know if he's going to win it. I don't know in Norvell's offense if a quarterback can win it, because most of the QBs in the Heisman race this season and most seasons, they're throwing up 30, 40 TD passes, 4,000 yards. Like, it's hard to keep up with that. But that's fine. Don't need a Heisman. Just win games. So you already see that just a couple days later after the regular season ended, that he's likely, very likely to come back. And then you take a peek at the schedule for next year, and it's pretty, at least right now, way too early peek at the schedule. It looks pretty freaking soft. You got the normal suspects, Miami, UF, Clemson. Miami won't be as bad as they were this year, but they're not going to be a whole lot better. They got a mass exodus coming with transfers, which is, what Norvell had to do when he got there to flip the locker room and start getting more buy-in. Obviously, they do have a good class coming in, but those are freshmen. You might find a couple impact freshmen, but I don't expect Miami to suddenly jump to 9 wins next year and be that type of team. They're still going to be a team that Florida State should beat. It'll be at home. Should beat by, multiple scores. That they're just pretty far away. Maybe 2024, I could be like, all right, now they got some good players so they're going to be not great again. UF, I like Napier much better than Mario. UF's going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be telling players to hit the bricks, but I do expect them to be a bigger threat. They were already a threat this year, right? And it'll be at the Swamp next year. However, with Travis back in the fold and reports indicating that Richardson probably will go to the draft, which is like a little bit of a head scratcher because he's just not a good passer at all. And that's an obvious statement. Second half of Friday's game 0 for his last 13, 9 for 27. I mean, he just does not look natural throwing the ball at all. But obviously he has a gigantic ceiling because he does have a strong arm, and he's just has the size and athleticism from hell. So maybe, hey, go on down the road. You might still be a first rounder just because of your potential. And you know what? Go onward, young man. I'd be completely fine with that, because I do not want to see him becoming a competent passer and realizing his potential while he's at UF. No thanks. I don't want to see that. Even with 9 for 27, Florida found a way to keep it close. I don't want to see that guy actually being able to pass a little bit. Nope, thank you. So Florida will be better, but FSU will probably still be favored in that game. They should be. Clemson will be at Clemson this year or next year. You're seeing the fallout from losing both coordinators. You're seeing them kind of come down from where they were at the peak of their at the peak of their dynasty, whatever you want to call it, winning multiple national titles, going to the college football playoff. They're not bad. They're not going to be bad next year, but they are becoming more beatable. The gap between them and FSU is closing and looks like it will continue to close. Try to explain to a couple Clemson fans, we've seen what a collapse looks like. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it feels like a long time. It wasn't that long ago. FSU won a national title, had a couple good years afterwards, but you could see them trending down. And so Clemson, I'm not going to say that's a W, but very winnable. So those are your 3 toughest games. 2 of them, you're definitely going to be favored, and you might be favored at Clemson. Probably not, but maybe. Then you look at the rest of the schedule. Pitt, not scaring anybody. Wake Forest, they'll have no Sam Hartman. They'll have lost some other veterans off the roster. I expect them to take a big step back. You got North Alabama on the schedule. You got Syracuse at home. Who else? Virginia Tech isn't any good. Whom else am I forgetting? Boston College ain't scaring anybody. Okay. And I don't have the rest of the schedule in front of me, but the point being, I'm not going to rattle on about 2023 schedule forever. The point being, very manageable schedule. And you have Travis coming back. Now, we'll see how they replace Fabo and Verse and Cooper. I mean, that's nothing to dismiss, right? I mean, there's a small chance maybe Fabo comes back, maybe, because he missed so much time. But even, let's forget about who they get in the portal. Just on that schedule and on the fact that Travis is coming back, your expectations immediately need to be around 10 wins. Now, what Florida State does in the portal will dictate whether it's a special season. Because if they go out and get a couple dogs from the portal on the D-line, whether it's these guys in Illinois that are from Florida, and they have some good D-linemen up there, believe it or not, in Illinois, or whoever else might pop in the portal, depending on who they get to replace some of those guys on defense, then your expectations should ratchet up to ACC title, maybe a chance at a college football playoff berth. I'm not saying FSU is going to be national title contenders next year. The roster's not there yet. They just completed a season in which the roster has about a 37% blue chip ratio. That's not going to be good enough to win national titles. But hey, ACC is that shitty and the schedule's that weak. You might get into the playoff by winning that shitty conference. And hey, you probably get your head stomped in against, Georgia or Ohio State, but who cares? It's taking another step. And then if you're going to those places, the recruiting, just like this year and going into next year, should continue to go on the uptick. And that leads me into coaches. Which are we going to see any changes? You listen to Jeff Cameron, who who's the longtime Tallahassee sports radio guy, he's more than hinted at there will be coaching changes, whether it's maybe a guy being shown the door like Woodson, or maybe a guy or two moves on to find another opportunity. Who knows? Maybe Fuller goes and takes a head coaching job at the Group of 5 level. That's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for Mike to get some better recruiters on the trail. And it's going to be fun to see it all play out. It'll be a very interesting offseason. But the biggest thing, it's not official, but the biggest domino that appears to have fallen is Travis coming back. And for not just 2023, but it means Duffy gets another year to sit and learn. Brock Glenn is most assuredly receiving a red shirt. So that's where I'll leave this video. Very likely Trav comes back, and that should put a smile on your face for the entire offseason. But it's going to be fun to see the coaching carousel, how that affects FSU, if different coordinators become available, different position coaches. It's an opportunity. There's, it's written that Mike works his ass off. Now that you've gotten the program on sturdy ground at 9-3, now's the time to strike while the iron's hot. That's on the trail. That's getting better assistants to help you on the trail, etc. All right, well, that's it. That's all. I'm out.